Hey, good afternoon, Knicks fan. Just wanted to drop a quick update. This was basically the analysis I did for the Wizards game. So what I wanted to do was I wanted to compare the analysis I did. I wanted to compare my stats to the stats on NBA.com. So I tabulated a lot of the defensive stats on my own. The reason why I did that was because it looks like NBA.com, the way they tabulate a lot of these defensive stats, I think I've said before, where let's say Julius Randle is guard basically decides to leave his man for whatever reason, because let's say he missed a layup and he decides to jog back. His man gets back on the offense before Julius does and gets a layup, and Mitch is the one who's challenging the layup. Basically what I'm doing is I'm assigning that instead of basically having that statistic be against Mitch Robinson, I'm basically reassigning it to Julius. And so, because there's a lot of that happens where either if a player decides to just not play defense and leave his man, a lot of that statistic defensive stat goes on the teammate who's actually tries to step up to help. And so that's where the difference is, number one. And then number two, there is another difference with NBA.com because it was showing under the defensive stats. If you go to NBA.com, there's it allows you to switch from traditional stats to defensive stats. When you switch to defensive stats, it was showing that the Wizards, basically the players, scored 92 points, so there was 5 points missing. And so it's just there's a few, it's like some differences here and there, and that's one of them. I'm not sure why they were showing only 92 points because obviously the Wizards scored 97 points. But it's possible that was because maybe it was like a wide open dunk, a fast break layup or dunk, and nobody was there to guard it. And so if there's no one there to guard it, they're not going to assign it to any defensive player on the New York Knicks. So that's what I think that could have happened. And so when I go through here and just look, it just there are some differences, right? Because of the way they tabulate these defensive stats and then the way I tabulated. And the differences can be a little significant at times depending on how bad the defense was. Basically, if Julius Randle decided not to play defense and basically his man was open quite a bit, or he would just let his man run loose quite a bit during the game, then that could have a pretty big impact on Julius's stats or on his teammate stats as well. And so just like let's just kind of go through some of these differences. We're not going to go through all the lines one by one. We're just going to go through some of the main stuff. So we're going to look at the net production right here. The net production is essentially we're looking at, for example, Emmanuel quickly here. We're showing that Wizards score 6 points against quickly, and quickly score 15 points. So I'm subtracting the 6 points from his 15 points to get a net production. So he was 9 points more productive than his matchups during the Wizard game. And so, according to these stats here, Julius Randle was 3 points more productive in his matchup. RJ was 4 points more productive. Quentin Grimes was 3 points more productive. Mitch was less productive by 1 point. So the matchup was more productive than Mitch by one. And Evan was -2, Jericho -4, and Obi -4, right? And so, as if you look at the one that I have, it's a little different, but not by a ton. But it's enough to make some difference to the rating, right? And so let's go over to the NPE. That this is the efficiency stats. There were also some differences here. So according to these guys, the NPE Manu quickly was 19.8 more efficient than his opponent. For me, what did I have for quickly? Uh, the efficiency numbers for quickly. Let's go over here. Let me see. Let me see. Mm, I don't have it here. I may need to go one up. So yeah, up here quickly was 12% more efficient but according to the NBA.com, he was 19.8, almost 20% more efficient. Julius was 14% less efficient. And here, what was Julius? He was almost 19% less efficient. So there are some differences. And so, that's why I wanted to highlight it. And so, because there were some differences, obviously I wanted to rerun the numbers and basically redo the impact, right, to see who had the biggest impact in the game. And so I resorted it, so I recalculated it using the NBA.com stats, and I'm still showing Emmanuel Quickly was basically the most impactful player in this game. Over here, I was showing, let's see how I had it ranked. So I was showing correct. Quickly was the most impactful player. Then Grimes was number two. But according to this, it was Julius Randle. According to these stats, three was R.J. Barrett, and number three for me was R.J. Barrett. So that was correct. And Quentin Grimes was number four. Although I had Quentin Grimes as number two here. Alec Burks was number five. And according to this, Alec Burks was number four here. Randall for me was number five. And number six was Mitchell Robinson. And Mitch was actually almost second to last place. Number six was Evan Fournier for me. So there were some differences, right? So, but as far as the most impactful player, I still had Quickly as number one. RJ was number three. And that matched this over here as well, the stats from NBA.com. Now, the other thing I decided to do as a result was, like, I think going forward, I'm actually going to use more traditional, ways of calculating these impact scores. Like, there's a way to do it, right? A lot of, these NBA folks, they use what's called PIE to calculate which player had the most impact in the game. And so I'm going to use that basically going forward to compare my rankings versus what the traditional method of ranking these players are. And so using the PIE, I'm still showing Emmanuel Quickly was the most impactful player, right? However, Mitchell Robinson was the second most impactful player. And the reason why that is because of the offensive rebounds, right? Number three was Evan Fournier. Evan Fournier was the third most. Number four was Julius Randle was number four. And so interestingly, I think the reason why Julius Randle was hurt in this ranking is because this basically factors in efficiency. So Julius Randle is extremely inefficient, and so we always talk about that. So that's the one good thing about this PIE rating. It does a good job of factoring in efficiency. And so, but what the PIE doesn't do, it doesn't even factor in your defense, your matchups as well. If it factored the matchups, the ranking will probably will be different. And actually, Julius Randle it might actually be even worse for Julius Randle. Because with this here, where it only factors in the efficiency, for me, I split it up into, I ranked the efficiency separately, and then I ranked impact. And the impact I'm ranking is basically the net contributors to the margin of victory, and then the defensive rebound. And because of that, Julius Randle tends to still be one of the higher impact players for me because he's actually the best defensive rebounder on our team. But in this situation, they basically factor in the efficiency. They do a good job factoring that in, and it basically kind of hurts him and pushes him down to fourth place. And so that's what's happening with Julius Randle there. And again, like I said, it doesn't even factor in like your defensive effort, your matchups. And if it did, I have a feeling it would be even worse. But essentially, this is pretty much what it is. I wanted to just kind of go over it because there were some differences. Number one, with the way I tabulated my stats and the way NBA.com tabulated theirs. So I just wanted to go over it. And then number two, I wanted to start comparing my impact rating versus the traditional way the league normally calculates these impact ratings. And so, however, although I use a different method, it still comes out to the same. I'm still showing, like I said, Emmanuel Quickly was the most impactful player. And so, and so that's pretty much it. Let me know what you guys think. Like, subscribe, comment below. If you guys have any suggestions, I'm actually just basically sort of making a lot of these processes or these methods up as I go, sort of. And so, basically, names of these columns will probably change over time. And if you guys have any suggestions, please let me know. I'll be more than happy to respond and to your suggestions. Thank you so much. Have a good night.